The visit of the Indian Prime Minister Modi to see Vladimir Putin last night, just hours after the Kremlin's murderous attacks on the Children's Hospital, two other hospitals, and various other civilian targets in Ukrainian cities, is disappointing, to say the least, but it is not a surprise. Look, India describes itself as the world's greatest or the world's largest democracy. I've got to say there is more than a touch of the despots with the way Prime Minister Modi has been ruling since he came to power. No democracy should be embracing Vladimir Putin at the moment, and it was a very warm embrace when they met, and Putin could be clearly heard addressing Modi as my dear friend. But I see this in the wider threat to our way of life, our rules based order that has pertained since 1945. The likes of Russia and China hate our rules based order, and they have railed against it for well over a decade now. I go back to 2017 when Sergei Lavrov talked about the coming asunder of the old order, our rules based order, and the rise of the post West era. That post-West era is being decided now on the battlefields of Ukraine, and Ukraine is the key. Ukraine is the crucible of freedom in our world today. If we are to let the Ukrainians lose, and they are doing the fighting, bleeding, and dying, they're only asking that we give them the weapons that they need. If we are to allow Ukraine to lose, this will embolden other despots around the world. British intelligence services have already told us that China is moving closer and closer to their no limits friendship. They are now providing, we believe, lethal aid to Russia. We know that despots like North Korea and Iran are already in Putin's pocket. The three other big BRICS countries, South Africa, Brazil, and India, can best be described as teetering on the fence, waiting to fall into Putin and China's lap at the opportune moment. This, Mr. Modi should have turned his plane around on the news of what had happened in Ukraine. It's clear he had no intention of doing that. Um, we haven't, I talked about arming Ukraine. We haven't done it fully, and we still make Ukraine fight with their hands tied behind their backs. Remember, we still don't allow Ukraine use American weapons to strike at the military bases from where these murderous attacks yesterday have been launched. So I think we shall be watching today's NATO summit in Washington, D.C. very, very closely. There's been lots of warm words and backslapping in the run up to it. Yes, I hope that Ukraine gets more air defense, but actually they need a lot more from that. Let's watch this NATO summit very closely.